Greetings, denizens of the tri-state area. Jacob Weil here.
Hey, I'm Blue Dragon 5.
And Dragon, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to activate the Recap-inator and discuss my favorite cartoon, Phineas-n-Ferb. That's right. In honor of the 15th anniversary and in preparation for the upcoming revival, I'm guiding Blue Dragon 5 here through the series, experiencing his reactions, watching it for the first time, and reliving my summer memories throughout the years. Today's episodes are The Monster of Phineas-n-Ferbenstein and Oil on Candace. First episode, The Monster of Phineas-n-Ferbenstein. Story by John Colton Berry, Martin Olson, written by Berry and Mike Diedrich, and Zach Moncrief directing. And so, Dragon, how are you coming down on this episode? It's another Halloween one.
Yeah, chronologically in the series is the first Halloween one, isn't it?
No, not chronologically. Well, if you talk about one that...
I'm saying, if you going through the show, we didn't cover a Halloween episode already, right?
Yeah, we already...
No, I know for hijinks, for the Recap-inator.
No, what I mean is, in the Recap-inator, we already went over the Halloween episode, the Haunted House episode.
Oh, yeah, you're right, that would count. I'm sorry, yeah, because the Haunted House thing, I don't know, it's funny. Every time I think of the haunted house, I'm always thinking of like a fair in which you have little haunted house that they put up at the fair. But you're sorry, in a summer setting, not just haunted house period, but in a summer setting. When I think of the haunted house, I'm always thinking of the fair. That's why I think subconsciously it glazed over my head. But you're right, though. Okay, you're right. The second time we've done it, though, yeah.
That is fair. When I think of haunted houses, I obviously think of the Haunted Mansion at Disney World.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying those are that's obviously the go-to when you think haunted house, and of course, one appropriate year to do so.
Yeah, speaking of which, I'm surprised the movie actually got a PG-13 rating.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of death, Jacob. Yeah.
Like I said, the original one wasn't rated PG-13.
Eddie Murphy in it.
Yeah, so I was I was actually kind of surprised when I was looking at the poster. I was PG-13. What do you know? Yeah. All right, and I do actually have a bit of background for this episode. Not in its creation, but it's something that happened afterwards. This episode was nominated for an Emmy Award. The Outstanding Special Class Short Form and Animated Program.
Mm-hmm.
It was there were two shows that were nominated this year, but neither one got the award due to the lack of votes. Do you know what the other nominated episode was?
What was it?
The SpongeBob SquarePants episode "Dear Vikings." And neither episode won.
I get why Dear Vikings didn't win.
I do too. I was why did they vote for this?
Yeah.
This episode is far better than Dear Vikings.
Yeah.
Dear Vikings isn't terrible, but...
No, but it's very forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this, So speaking of which, how you didn't get to it, but how are you liking this episode, speaking of which?
Well, that's the thing. To me, the Haunted House episode before really kind of fits into the usual stuff Phineas and Ferb do, where this one feels like to me, I believe it's the first real themed episode that we've gotten to. The themed episode in terms it's kind of we're kind of casting the characters in kind of iconic roles, or at the very least we're evoking iconic roles, it seems. This seems to me as it seems to be the first time we're doing that.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Elseworld story almost, even though it takes more place in the past rather than an alternate universe.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm a sucker for Frankenstein. I love Frankenstein of the original monsters, so I really liked it. I thought it was great.
I never knew that. Unfortunately, I didn't watch your guys' coverage of the original 1931 Frankenstein. So I didn't know how much of a sucker you were for that, but given the fact that it's a mad scientist and has machinery and all kinds of gadgetry, honestly, it doesn't surprise me.
In general, I love a lot about just the Frankenstein as a concept and everything about it. It's kind of it's a monster created by science. It's a leap in logic of you kind of reanimate the dead tissue, or it's kind of looking for immortality through very great means. But also, deep down as a kid, and I think still right now, it's it's the idea of the very Jack Kirby-esque kind of likable monster. You get the DNA of the Hulk in Frankenstein. It's just the idea of the monster with a soul. Who's kind of chased by the angry mobs, but he's innocent.
Yeah, the Hulk and everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You get all that, you know, deep down from Frankenstein. Hulk is kind of a combination of Frankenstein meets Jekyll and Hyde, both of which are in this episode.
Yeah, funnily enough. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like Frankenstein myself. I mean, I honestly don't know if it's I don't honestly don't know if it's better or worse than Dracula. I still think most likely Bride of Frankenstein is the superior.
Take my word for it, Jacob. Both those Frankenstein movies are better than the original Dracula.
Well, like I said, I've seen both. I've seen all of those, but I'm just saying it's hard for me to choose.
I was saying on the rewatch, Dracula was like it was a little disheartening on the rewatch.
I just say you can't go wrong with Bela Lugosi as Dracula.
That's what I'm saying. He was the best part, but just the writing and everything was not so. It was early. It was early though. They were figuring it out.
But I mean, yeah. To be fair, they did that before Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And and to be fair, Bride of Frankenstein is the superior movie between the two of them.
I'm pretty much, needs a revisiting, but yeah.
I mean, I think so anyway.
Well, wait, do you mean between Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, or do you mean between Bride of Frankenstein and Dracula?
Well, both actually.
Well, that easily trounces Dracula. I mean, the original Frankenstein. I mean, look, all the iconic bits of Frankenstein are in Bride of Frankenstein. So I think you're probably right, but it's been forever since I've seen that.
I mean, and also Young Frankenstein, which this episode also references,
which is of course very much based on Bride of Frankenstein. Yes.
Yes.
Of course, most famously the blind man scene, played by the wonderful and incomparable Gene Hackman.
Of course.
Yep.
It's like that's something else this episode references. Like a lot of like classic Universal and also I guess Young Frankenstein movies. Like this movie references.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, it's like they said this is probably like it's a great episode. I mean, I love all their Halloween episodes. I do at least one or two each season. I mean, I think they did one in season 2, but I don't exactly remember which one exactly is Halloween. But you can tell they have a lot of fun with these Halloween ones.
Well, how can't you?
Exactly. I mean, Halloween is like my favorite holiday of the year.
Yep.
Just for like the whole spectacle of it, and the history of it. But that's entirely different. It's entirely different.
It's true. Okay.
But speaking of Frankenstein, it even opens with the famous warning.
Yeah.
Like what you see may shock you. It may even horrify you. And Ferb coughs up a hairball for some reason. You've been warned.
Yep. This is funny. I love the presentational aspect of that, where Phineas and Ferb, I love we do this with them, and later on Mitch Montgomery seemingly rips it off, but then we reveal all the conveniences of like, it's my cousin's wedding, and
what did you say? Mitch Montgomery?
No, I said
Major Monogram.
You know what? You're right. I said I did say Major, but I said Montgomery instead of Monogram. Sorry.
I thought you said like Mitch Montgomery or something.
No. You're half right, but no.
All right, that's fair.
I must have. Yeah, I think I got Monogram, but I thought I said Monogram. I guess I said Montgomery on reflex. So anyway, Major Monogram.
Yeah.
I love that he can have this conveniences like, it's my cousin's wedding.
And the curtains there because of a water leak.
I know, I love that. So that's really funny.
Yep. And it's like, I don't know why you'd be frightened of this because you do it all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So appropriately, this episode is the return of Malcolm McDowell. Right? What's the name of the grandfather he plays?
Reginald.
I love me some Reginald. I love me some Malcolm McDowell. And of course, who better to narrate our tale here than the great and incomparable Malcolm McDowell?
The great what?
Then who better to narrate our tale better than the great Malcolm McDowell?
I thought you said something else. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I got it right this time.
I know. I just thought you said like you gave him a nickname or something.
No.
All right, but yep. Of course, it's like, and of course the storm that's happening disrupts Phineas and Ferb's plans of standing alone in the field with a big metal rod. Which I don't know if there's. Which for all I know, they might actually been serious or they might have just been facetious.
Oh yeah, we should talk about a couple things, Jacob.
Yeah.
One,
banner.
Yeah. And 2, great reboot.
Yeah, sorry, that's my fault.
Well, yeah, folks. So it does bring to mind the famous coma episode of Phineas and Ferb that's going to be in the upcoming Great reboot that's never actually going to be made. Essentially, imagine this: the episode starts off with Phineas and Ferb like Cassidy throwing caution to the wind. You know what? We're gonna still do it. You know, Isabella's like walking into the field while they're basically either like maybe flying some kites, but they're in the field with giant rods and it's just hanging out. It's like, what you do? And of course, mid sentence, like lightning hits a lightning rod and electrocutes Ferb.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
Phineas and Ferb. Let's just say Ferb electrocutes Ferb, and it's played. Then things take a very dramatic turn where Ferb is in the hospital, and he's hooked up machinery, and it's a question if he's ever going to wake up again. And Phineas is just feeling awful and guilt ridden, and telling Candace, why didn't you bust us? This would have saved everything. Because nothing bad happens when you try and bust us. Why? Why did you slack off? I hope Jeremy was worth it. I hope you have grandchildren, and I hope your children are named Ferb for the brother you doomed.
Oh god. Getting all
Anyway.
psychological in this reboot.
Oh yeah. Anyway, back to the actual episode.
Yep. With a banner this time.
Yes. Okay, so Grampy here, old Reginald, he lays out.
We're just Reg.
Reg. So your name's Reg. Anyway, no. So Reg lays out the tale of his great many greats great uncle.
Ferb.
I love this idea because in the relation, of course, it would have to be if he's telling the story, it would have to be Ferb, and Ferb would be the Igor. So yeah.
I think it's pronounced Igor.
Is it pronounced Frodrick? No, it's Frederick. Sure, it's not Frodrick Frankenstein.
we could pull Young Frankenstein all day.
That we could. So we have like all the tropes too, because when he's telling the story, lights go out. He's lighting himself with a little flashlight. Let's see. So again, just to jump around a little bit here, we have like the black and white to the muted color scheme, like a lot of fun gags like that. So in our retelling of the go on.
It's like it starts off in black and white, and like to more easily evoke the classic feel of the monster movies. But then like Candace's idea is like to completely saturated sunshine and rainbow colors.
Yeah, but then we kind of compromise on muted. Like, who's telling this story anyway?
It's like, and it would have been kind of interesting for the entire episode to be in black and white.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with like the muted color scheme.
Yeah. Okay, so long story short, was it Finstein or Phineas-Stein?
Phineas-Stein.
Phineas-Stein and Uncle Ferbgore.
Yes.
They want to enter a monster in the monster contest, which leads to the platypus monster. So we have again, this episode was rather easily fit into the Great Reboot category yet again. They have the dead body of Perry the Platypus in a kid show that was nominated for an Emmy
several times. Yeah, the show has actually quite a few Emmy nominations.
Well, sure, but I meant this episode. But you're right, though. So it's got many Emmy nominations. Yeah. So that's the thing. So in a kid show is nominated for an Emmy, we have like the main pet character, his dead body reanimated though.
More like reconstructed from various parts.
Yeah. So it's great design. So our giant platypus monster looks great. It's Perry with scale. No hat, but he's all stitched up and everything. He's got the bolts.
And he's very big.
How big, Jacob?
Really big. Giant, even.
Well, no, Jacob, how would you measure him?
I don't know.
you remember the line,
Work with me here, Jack. I don't remember.
Okay, fine. Like bigger than a refrigerator, but
Oh yes, bigger than a refrigerator, but smaller than a really big refrigerator.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
love that line.
It's like, yeah, it's very descriptive.
Yep, man, it's very accurate too when you look at him. It's like, yeah, he doesn't look like he's bigger than the average fridge, but not bigger than, let's say, like a meat locker or something.
Yep. I mean, I've actually been in like I used to work at United Dairy Farmers, and I actually went into like an ice cream freezer
Hmm.
quite a bit. It was actually like it is that, and the door is actually probably about the size of the platypus monster. Like
Huh.
it wasn't as deep, but I mean, Perry's not as deep as the ice cream freezer was. But, so I
Well,
guess
we
he's
never
like,
really sit down and ask him about his feelings, though.
like no, he's like I don't think he has much depth in that regard, though.
So, speaking of depth, let's talk about the actual living Perry the Platypus. Let's talk about, well, I guess reliving in that case. Let's talk about the real Perry the Platypus here. So, Doofenshmirtz
Evil
Incorporated.
Incorporated. Yeah. And then he enters the when he goes to Doofenshmirtz, he's like, wait, the goblin! Ah!
I love this. This cracks you. So is the fact that because of the storm, there's a power outage, so he's just kind of stuck.
He can't get out of his own house.
Can't get out of his own house, so he's having like hot cocoa, Perry the Platypus, and he's regaling with the story of
Jekyll.
Jekyll Doofenshmirtz
Yep.
and his assistant Roger, at least an ancestor of Roger.
It's like now his ancestor isn't named Roger. It's actually what's his name? Jameson.
Jameson. Okay, so Jameson, who's a descendant of Roger.
Voiced by Greg Ellis, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, you'd recognize. I think you'd recognize him from Batman: Brave and the Bold as the Gentleman Ghost.
Which is appropriate.
Yep.
Spooky. All right. So let's see. Okay, so we have the angry mob.
Yeah, which apparently back then was like you had to be considered truly evil, you needed to have an angry mob chase after you.
Yeah.
Which I love the overall concept. It's like, oh yeah, he's an evil scientist, and he would absolutely want to have an angry mob chase after him in this case.
I love the screw loose gag, by the way. In fact, that we didn't. I kept rewinding this. Do we call out like a screw a screw loose gag? But no, you see that okay, he's holding a screw and it is loose. So
yeah, that explains a lot. It actually does explain a lot.
All right. So we have the concoction brewinator, which basically I like to think of it as it's the evil coffee machine.
It pretty much is. I mean, but the evil coffee has two different settings on it.
Yes, of course. One setting is monster, and the other setting
is fairy princess.
And oh, poor Heine. Heine
Jekyll.
did. Sorry, you're right. Poor Jekyll did not read the label before he flipped the switch.
Nope. So in order to
turns into a fairy princess.
He didn't impress the angry mob and just got turned into a fairy princess.
Yep. So meanwhile, Constance, who is our fill-in for Candace,
it's like, will you hold it down? I'm trying to use the quill.
So I love that she. I think it's such a great and cute gag, like mob. You know, the angry mob.
If I'm telling mob.
just a great little. It's a cute gag. It's just one letter. It's like, oh, I see what they did there. It's nice.
That'd be a joke that probably wouldn't easily translate into other languages, though.
Yeah, there's one thing I desperately wanted to fact check for this, but unfortunately I was unable to, given how the day went. So we have Doofenshmirtz. He takes the serum and he becomes high Doofenshmirtz.
Basically.
And we have this trio of sisters who are doing the background music during the song. And these three sisters are referenced to something. I'm blanking what they're referenced.
The Andrews sisters.
The Andrews sisters. There you go.
We basically had the same discussion when we went over Night of the Living Pharmacists.
So here's the thing. Do these same sisters, are they the ones that appear in the next short that we talk about?
I mean, I don't think so. I think that this might be redesigns or like just reused designs.
I would say, isn't it interesting that Doofenshmirtz has like he's got a thing, you know, he's got a thing for the Andrews sisters, or at the very least, like chorus girls or background singers.
Yep, it seems to be that way. I mean, a lot of his musical numbers are Broadway style musical numbers. So,
And I love that about him.
so it kind of makes sense to have backup dancers.
Anyway, so we have this great little homage to the Andrews sisters.
We really had that. We literally basically had the same discussion when we did a Night of the Living Farm.
Oh, I know. It's been a while. I forgot they're called the Andrews sisters. Here's the thing. With the Andrews sisters, there's a reference to them in Freakazoid. They never they gave them like a name that was not the Andrews sisters, which is why I'm always struggling to think of their names.
Yeah.
It's in the Invisibo episode of Freakazoid where they say like, "Can we hear that song again?" For as like someone sent in fan mail. Can we hear the song again from essentially the Andrews sisters? Like, sure. Anyway,
I don't think I've seen that episode.
That's pretty fun.
Was that from the second season or the?
You know, it's a good question. I think the second season. I believe that's the. One of the in the second season of Freakazoid, they got rid of the vignetted stuff. So I'm struggling to remember if it still was. I think it still was 2 segments, but it was like you didn't break it down the further segments like the first season had. So if that's the case, then yeah, you had Longhorn and Invisibo in an episode.
Huh, all right. Yeah, that explains
it.
And
they had like the catch of "Where did he go? That Invisibo," and that's what the Andrews sisters would sing.
Nice.
It's catchy as heck.
I can see why. It's like unfortunately I haven't seen really any of the second season, as I mentioned before, because Freakazoid is kind of hard to find.
Yeah, you gotta buy that DVD set, man.
Or I wonder if it's able to rent on Amazon.
It is, but I'm just saying, still own it, man. You gotta get bonus features, own it.
All right.
Get really good bonus features. Do it.
Too bad there's no Blu-ray.
You know, I've never checked in if they put it on Blu-ray. I mean, I don't think they did, but you could always check.
Because I recently got an actual Blu-ray player.
Well, yeah. Well, good news is the Blu-ray player plays DVDs.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway, point being,
I was just saying I was tired of just trying to watch everything on my console, and I wanted something in my room, so I just got a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, regardless, kids, watch the second season of Freakazoid. I really love it. I will stand by the second season of Freakazoid. I mean, I love them both. I mean, personally, a lot of my nostalgia tied to the second season. I love it. Right. Anyway. So, point being, Doofenshmirtz has turned himself into a monster. He's terrorizing things. He's like he's on the right track to get the angry mob's attention.
With his evil rampage.
Yes.
He's eviler.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know, like when you're typing in a Word document and it like does like that red underscore when it's not listed as an actual word.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, eviler is considered a word, unlike despite his protest. Like, I don't think that's a word.
Get out of here. Really? Eviler?
I mean, and apparently it's also recognized as by Scrabble.
Okay. Well, that's the determination.
I think it's more considered like an unofficial or informal word.
I just want to see like Doofenshmirtz play Scrabble and have like all the prefixes on evil.
Eviler, evilist.
Yep. Most evil.
Most evil, yes.
Okay, so let's see. So we have this monster versus monster fight here, where he does like "got your nose" on the platypus monster, and he actually removes. It's a very Daffy Duck-esque moment. He removes the bill.
Got their nose. Like I actually got their nose.
Puts it back, and then it gets into a little bit of a scuffle with the platypus.
And the platypus monster gets loose and starts wandering around the city.
Yep.
And even terrorizes the villagers. And by terrorizes, I mean the one guy who was afraid of a giant platypus monster seeing him in his underpants.
It was horrible for him.
It's like, this is worse than I could have imagined.
So then Isabella is cast in the role of the flower girl.
Like, who fortunately nothing really happens, or they actually become friends.
Yeah. I love the idea. You know, they spent the day together. You know, they had a little lunch by the lake.
The platypus monster ate snails, but she had it stuck to PB&J.
Yeah, good. You know, I like the little slice of life stuff we do with Isabella. I also here's the thing. I like when we break away from the Girl Scouts a little bit with Isabella, because the Girl Scouts are good. You know, I know the Fireside?
Yeah, Fireside Girls.
The Fireside Girls. Fireside Girls are great. Don't get me wrong, I like them, but it's just the fact like it's kind of a crutch after a while. Like, let's see what Isabella does like outside of the Fireside Girls. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, there are episodes that actually do focus on the Fireside Girls, and they actually do get more development than just being overall plot devices.
Yeah.
It's like as you'll see them you'll begin to recognize them as their own individual characters instead of just a group.
All right, so it's big demonstration time. Jekyll Doofenshmirtz, he takes the wrong potion and he becomes a fairy princess. And gritty reboot time.
Pretty reboot time. I mean, to be fair though, the episode actually kind of did veer into it itself.
Well, I don't know. I guess I wanted to kind of put an emphasis on the moment. You're right. It's not really our pitch for the gritty reboot. It's kind of an acknowledgement of the gritty reboot within the actual show. Doofenshmirtz as the fairy princess gets eaten by Harry the platypus. Bum bum bum.
It's like, yep, as Doofenshmirtz is like regaling the tale, it's like I actually don't know what happens after that. I forget.
It's funny.
Yep. Well, nobody was there to tell it anymore.
it would be really funny if someone just like cobbled together all the actual gritty moments from Phineas and Ferb and confronted confronted our showrunners here, confronted Poppmeyer and Swampy, like evidence.
It's like, yeah, like I did mention several times that this show does have some dark humor in it.
Yep, just like, guys, this is your moment. You're coming back. Look at all the shows do. They come back with a vengeance. They come back darker. You got those kids you entertained. They've grown up and they've grown cynical. You got to embrace the darkness, boys.
I mean, that's one thing. Though honestly, that is one thing I do like about this show. That's one thing I love about it. It's like it's not cynical. It's like it's actually celebratory of imagination.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one reason, and that's why I think a gritty reboot would kind of. I mean, and don't be wrong, it's fun to go over that. It's hilarious with the contradiction and all that. But I think something would be lost from this show if it became, like a gritty reboot.
No, true. Of course, we're having great fun. We don't really want a gritty reboot. It's just kind of a funny thing. It's given how lighthearted and hopeful the show is.
I mean, I know that. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, I know you know. I'm telling the folks, Jacob.
Yeah. All right. Like I said, but that is honestly one thing I love about this show. How it's actually not that cynical.
Yeah.
like sometimes you just kind of need that kind of, not everything needs to be all cynical, dark, and edgy.
Yeah.
Right? But also sometimes you gotta have fairy princesses be eaten by giant platypus monsters.
Yep. All right. So Candace, she's
Constance.
Right. Sorry. Constance.
And of course, Jeremiah is there.
Jeremiah.
It's like he was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh no, you didn't." And
Yep.
And
so she drinks the serum.
She's trying to get the mob there to bust the boys, as their governess and all that.
Which admittedly doesn't really make a lot of sense, given it's a monster contest.
Well, from the looks of things, it looks like it was just like a monster costume contest.
You know what? I think you're right. Forget what I just said. I think you're right.
Like, if you notice, a lot of them are just like
yeah, Jeremiah is dressed like a vampire, so that makes sense.
It's like, and of course, at least the interaction is like she's thirsty. It's like, Constance, I can't remember a day you looked more beautiful. How she transforms into the monster. It's like, well, now I can. It's like, God dang it, Jeremiah.
Anyways, then the mob chases her, which is Karma, and yeah, that's and then we have this really nice bit though. I love this bit with the boys here, where
and that's why there are pumpkins.
Well, no, that's great, but I meant the whole thing where the boys are like, you're still the biggest, baddest monster house, and you have Perry looking all happy and everything. It's like, oh, ain't that cute?
I like to think that the platypus monster stayed with them and went on more adventures.
I would like to think so too.
It's like we don't know whatever happens to it because unfortunately we never visit Phineas-n-Ferbenstein ever again. But
no, he accidentally lit himself on fire one time.
Yeah, but he's fine. He's semi-aquatic. He can just jump into the water.
True. Okay, then that's why we have pumpkins.
He's like, weren't you telling us about the platypus? I was like, oh yes, that sounds great. Tell us about that.
That's great.
Platypus monsters are the only monsters to lay eggs.
You can tell Ferb's getting desperate as he's rehashing the old stuff.
It's pretty much. It's like, and there's no physical evidence that any of the monsters that that were actually hiding in that cave didn't lay eggs either.
True.
Because remember, there were monsters hiding. Like, any monsters in there? Yeah, probably not. Like, who knows? Maybe they laid eggs too.
Yeah.
So I'm questioning Ferb's scientific method here. All right. That leads us to Oil on Candace. Written story by Bobby Gaylor, Martin Olson. Written storyboard by Antoine Guilbeault and Elviki Theophilopoulos. And Zach Moncrief directed once again. So, Dragon, this is more of an art-based episode. So how are you coming down on this one?
I thought this was a nice episode with cool visuals with the art and everything, but through our formula we do on Phineas and Ferb, it felt very low. It felt kind of lower stakes than usual. Like it felt like I know I'm always poking holes at the whole Candace busting thing, but this one felt really like there's really nothing for her to bust in this case, and I think it's very apparent. I mean, aside from that.
I mean, to be fair, that's probably why she wasn't in much of the episode.
That's the thing. It kind of feels that way. It just feels like we just wanted to have like a really. It just felt like the Phineas and Ferb plotline really did not have a lot to it, even by the sense of like, yeah, let's see him basically the old Mickey Rooney, like, oh, I almost got a barn, let's put on a show sort of thing. It's more of like, let's help our friends. Like, well, that's nice, but not really. I don't know if it fills up an episode. It feels like one of those things, Jacob, where yet again. We put all the energy into the of the two episodes. Like, put all the energy into the Frankenstein homage, and this was more like, okay, it's like a little after dinner mint.
I mean, that's to be fair. I mean, there was a reason why we wanted to go with the monster episode for the thumbnail image over the Oil on Candace episode.
And I do like the oil on Candace episode, but still,
I like it. I like it too, but. Obviously, if we're going to choose which one we like better, we would probably both choose the monster.
I mean, that's the thing. It's all at the end of the day. It's like, hey, it's like this choice or that choice. If the other choice is Frankenstein, it's kind of hard not to pick Frankenstein.
Exactly.
All right. So this episode we have Beppo Brown,
voiced by Joel Grey.
Yeah. And basically, this is
I actually learned this from Cleveland, Ohio.
Ah, small world.
Yep.
So Beppo here, Beppo, he's essentially a Dick Sprang artist. He's like Dick Sprang from the Batman artist, essentially, where he Dick Sprang in the Batman comics, and I guess by proxy, it's all 60s Batman. He's the guy who came up with 50s and 60s Batman. He came up with the giant prop idea. That was his thing.
I'm familiar with vaguely familiar with the works of Dick Sprang. I didn't necessarily know about the whole big prop thing, but I knew like he was like the one who like one of the first redesigns of Batman with the big barrel chest and made Joker more lanky.
Yeah, like I think it might have been like Bill Finger suggested giant props, but like Dick Sprang was like the one who drew them all. Like that was like his style of like how to do like the big jaws and like the very Dick Tracy look for Batman with the giant props and everything.
And that's what pretty much informed the 66 show.
Exactly. So, so I just love that idea. Like for an art installation, it's very Dick Sprang-esque. Where it's like all these giant, awesome props. And of course, one of my favorite things about Ant-Man is the size shifting. So it's kind of like fun to see stuff like that,
including giant floss, which has apparently been used.
Yep,
and his son Django was actually named after.
Jamie Foxx.
Well, I guess. Let's see. It's like named after. I forget if it's like Swampy's grandson or son. Like after his son Django Marsh.
Okay.
Django's named after Swampy's son.
Apparently, Swampy loved. No, actually, this came out way before Django and Jane. It was mostly kidding, but it's kind of funny.
I know. I think I might have mentioned that before, but I think this is like his biggest episode, so I think I thought it was appropriate to mention it here.
Yeah.
It's like, but yep, Django wants to prove to his father that he's an artist too, but he's worried that it doesn't stack up to how his other big stuff.
Yeah, so I love the emphasis here that it's literally a son who's afraid. He'll never measure up to his father.
Yep. Like his father's famous for making big big art pieces, literally big art.
Hmm.
Like, and he made a painting of himself and his dad, and he's like worried that it won't measure up.
You know what you call big artwork?
What?
Bartwork.
Yes.
There's some Bart for you. Look at that Bart.
Artwork.
Yeah.
So of course, the boys, being who they are, they decide to help Django with his problem to make him proud, make Django proud, and make Beppo proud of his boy.
Proud of his
Oh,
boy.
yeah.
Yes, he's proud of his boy and his Bart.
Fortunately though, Beppo actually had an art exhibit called Giant Paint Supplies, which helps.
By the way, we should mention this too because this seems to be a runner. It looks like, you know what, Jacob, throw up the other graphic. There you go. Guys, I just got to call it out here. You guys got a giant baby hang up. All right, because we have a giant baby here. We've had giant baby heads. What's the deal, guys? Why the giant baby stuff?
You can blame that on Mike Diedrich.
Right. Diedrich, I know you're listening in on this. What's with the giant babies?
Well, I mean,
Always with the giant babies, the giant baby head dimensions. There's a whole dimension of disembodied giant babies. Why, man? Why? This raises so many questions. We just have a giant baby and a mother, a regular sized mother. It's like reverse kid. It's like reverse George Shrinks, man. What's going on? Which, fun fact, George Shrinks, show no one ever talks about. Premise there, quite the opposite. It's about a boy who doesn't measure up to anyone because he's 10 inches tall.
Aw.
Yeah. Anyway, so, but again, so I'm sorry. Actually, the main reason I was bringing that up was George Shrinks' parents. His father's a musician. His mother was an artist.
Yeah, nice.
Hence the art connection there. Anyway, so the point of yes, the boys are going to help young Django, impress his father, make him proud of his boy. So we have Donuts Over the Mountain. How great does Donuts Over the Mountain look?
I mean, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty tasty, actually.
I mean, I enjoy donuts. Jacob, do you enjoy donuts?
I enjoy donuts.
Good. Okay, yes. So we have.
So what's your go-to donut?
Oh, easy. I have two. I really have two go-to donuts, but if I had to pick one, I'm picking the strawberry without sprinkles.
Like I'm kind of vanilla, I guess, when it comes to donuts. Like Krispy Kreme. I don't know if you know what Krispy Kreme is, or if you have any of that around where you live.
Well, no, I know what Krispy Kreme is, but I find Krispy Kreme inferior, in my personal opinion, to Dunkin' Donuts. It's Dunkin' or nothing, kids.
It's like Dunkin' has good. We have this thing called, like, we have something right here called Jolly Pirate Donuts as well. I don't know if that might be a local thing.
Yeah, it's
Like,
probably a local thing.
like either that or Buckeye Donuts. But like Jolly Pirate, like they have like I'm like a sucker for like standard glazed donuts or just regular donuts with chocolate glaze on top of them.
Mhm. My other go-to is though. I mean, the donut I get excited about,
What?
the maple donut.
Like it has maple syrup on it.
Well, yeah, it's like the icing is it's maple icing, but pretty
Mm-hmm.
much it's like not just like syrup, but yeah, basically it's a taste of Canada in the morning.
Like, too bad Tim Hortons doesn't do something like that.
I know, right?
That'd be great.
It would be great. Anyway,
All right, all right. Leave our donut talk for later.
yeah, let's fill this hole, man. Okay, so Perry, so Perry is Perry the platypus doing on his day off, Jacob?
He watches soap operas.
Very investedly and very sad looking too. I love that he's in the robe. He's in his comfy robe. He has like all sorts of snacks and everything around him.
It looks like he's like when he's not he's just by himself watching soap. He's kind of a slob.
Yeah, he's got like the 5 o'clock shadow and everything. I love it. He's so professional when he's on the job, but elsewhere he's just He likes taking me a day. He likes you know what? I don't want to do anything today. I just want to I want to feel catharsis, and I want to eat empty calories. That's what I want to do.
I mean, everybody has one of those days, right?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer that to be every day, but yeah,
I mean, some of us work for a lot of us work for a living.
yeah.
I mean,
I'd
I
like
do.
it to be. It's not that every day. I'd like it to be that
I
way
mean,
every day.
I trust me, I would too. Just like, I mean, I probably would watch something other than cheesy soap operas.
That's the thing too. Yeah, I detest soap operas. I really do.
I mean, Perry's into it, so if that's what he likes, I mean, more power to him.
Then again, maybe if I somehow like soap operas, maybe I could wear a cool hat and have a grappling gun.
I could do that. But, I mean, if, like, you can have this grappling hook and fedora, but only if you watch 10 hours of soap operas.
I mean, the good news is I do have a grappling hook and I do have fedoras. I just don't wear the fedoras.
Ah, I need a fedora.
Yeah.
For a costume, that is.
All right, so
But so Monogram tries to call Perry on the TV.
I love. He's not happy. He takes his soap operas so seriously, so it clicks him over.
It's like Agent, you gotta pay attention.
I know it's your day off.
Like,
It's like Perry's just like, I don't want to take any of all the other times that he's messed with him. He's like, I don't want to take any of Major Monogram's BS on soap opera day.
it's like Perry is like, no, this is my day off.
I do love that he offered to. They said, "Okay, we're going to tape them for you. Don't worry."
And Perry's just like, you can basically tell just based on the way he was like tying his robe and looking like he was like, fine.
Yep.
It's like you know that feeling like when you have plans, it's your day off, but work calls like, hey, can you come in today?
Yep.
It's like you can tell that's just the way Perry's looking on his face. Like, obviously he enjoys being a secret agent. It's what he has to do, but even he needs a day off.
But it's soap opera day.
It's like sometimes you just want to sit on the couch, eat potato chips, and watch TV.
If Perry could talk, he'd say, "Send Carl."
It's like, and remember just a few episodes ago, he was willing to just vacation with Doofenshmirtz in the suburbs.
Yep.
It's like, so that platypus needs a vacation.
That he does.
So it's like, so speaking of which, Doofenshmirtz wasn't even planning on seeing Perry for a little while. So like, but Doofenshmirtz himself is going through a bit of a crisis.
Yes, his mentor's in town.
Dr. Hivarlik.
Yes.
Which is apparently Dutch for dangerous.
Huh.
And do you know who voiced it? Do you know who voices Dr. Hivarlik?
Who?
Jennifer Grey.
Hey.
It's like, who, as you know, is the daughter of Joel Grey.
Yep.
It's like, and the funny thing is, she would play a different. Yeah, she guest starred three more times on this show. Once in each season.
Cool.
She appears. She appears in each season one more time. So
that's fitting.
Yep. And it's kind of funny considering, like, obviously her probably most famous role is this baby from Dirty Dancing, but it's kind of funny considering that, like, the role of Candace is basically inspired by her role as Jeannie from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
You know, that's a missed opportunity. You'd think they do something where Candace has a mentor and it'd be this character.
I mean, you'd think, but unfortunately they didn't go that route.
Anyway, so Dr. Hivarlik.
Yes.
This old evil science professor that Doofenshmirtz had, and he has a whole song about how he disappointed her.
Like, he must impress his professor.
Impress his professor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have this it's a little musical number exposition here. I love the gag that Perry is. I love two gags here. I love where Doofenshmirtz pulls him up a chair in a nice way. Of course, the chair is instantly a death. It's like a little latch forms and it's a death trap chair.
Of course.
And he's checking the program. I love the detail that he's checking the program.
It's a neat visual gag.
Also, Doofenshmirtz wants to date one of the chorus girls.
Like, I think I have a shot there. And then Perry just is like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't think
Hines.
I don't think so, dude.
Oh, Heine.
He doesn't have much luck when it comes to love.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
I mean, obviously, he was successful with Charlene. Like,
Oh, yeah, everybody gets one.
yep, and obviously, he has a daughter, so things did work out for a while there.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately, now he doesn't have much luck at all.
Yep.
That'll actually be explored in a future episode in some way.
All right. So we have, I gotta be honest, I'm gonna voice this criticism against the episode.
Yeah.
Perry was very petty taking off that hat.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of was.
He didn't have to do that. He could have gave. That was like the one win he could have gave him.
It's like, and to be fair, it does it might explain why Doofenshmirtz is always like questioning why Perry's like why the whole fedora thing.
I mean, it's funny that he was so stupid. He thought like, oh no, I literally trapped him, and it's like, no, I guess it's I somehow trapped the wrong platypus.
He's like, look, I made this mistake too, but I swear it's him. Which actually, if you think about it, does explain why he has difficulty identifying Perry without the hat.
Yep.
So pretty much from this point on, every time he sees Perry without the hat, it's just like he doesn't think it's Perry.
Yep.
So.
All right, let's see. So he shows her all the death traps. I mean, all the inators that have been destroyed by Perry. It's a marvel they never tried to reconstruct them. He just has them like destroyed trophies almost.
They're just reminders of his failure. Maybe it just makes him feel more evil. Like it'll make it. I will do it next time.
We should talk about his one successful invention. We should talk about the Blendinator.
Oh yeah, it's like it'll eviscerate the toughest of apples.
Yeah.
Like it does look a pretty sick blender though.
It does actually. I mean that blends apples, man. I mean even do regular blenders just like blend full apples, or you have to cut up the apples first?
I mean, usually to be safe, I think people chop up their apples because they don't want to get the seeds and the core in there.
Yeah, exactly. The cores. I mean that's. I mean, I know he was just coming up with something on the fly, but what if he did soup up the Blendinator? What if that's just like not a device for evil? It's just a really top of the line blender that he should put like a patent on or something.
I mean, he's not that smart. It's like he wouldn't actually invent something for the greater good. To make money, even though he technically could. That's just that he doesn't invent anything for the greater good on purpose.
Yeah.
But about the whole apple thing, mainly because apple seeds can contain like cyanide and that kind of stuff can be deadly.
Wait, really?
I think so.
Cyanide, really?
Maybe not cyanide, but like
arsenic.
Maybe apple seeds.
So
Apple cores are safety.
I know there's something with almonds that's related to the side. Did you hear that? It smells like almonds. I don't.
It's because like there's a poison that does taste like almonds. Like apple cores are safe to eat, even though many choose not to. Like turns out the core is safe to eat despite apple seeds' association with the poison cyanide.
Ah, okay, you're right. Yeah.
It's like that doesn't necessarily mean that like it's specifically deadly, but I think it's more like a safe bet not to actually eat the seeds.
Okay. Meanwhile, Candace, she's trying to bust her brothers, but here's the thing: Candace, what she's really trying to bust here is, like the bond between a father and son. It's like, come on, Candace, what are you really trying to do here?
Well, I don't think she exactly knows.
I mean, there's a giant picture of it. If she just took a moment to she's looking at like a giant painting in the unpainted desert, and it's of the father and son that she knows.
It's like, to be fair, she did appreciate the artwork.
Yeah, but still, it just feels like, why? Come on, Candace, why do you gotta? Can't you just let it happen? Can't you just let the enjoyment happen? So you got to bring them there. I mean, she knows how it works at this point. She knows that it's going to go away the moment she tries it and shows somebody. Can't just let it happen.
Like you do, yeah. I mean, that's like I said. That's probably why she wasn't in much of the episode because it was kind of hard to justify.
Yep. So anyway, it washes away after a successful inator, like a destructinator, maybe.
The
Do you
kid.
remember what the beam was? Do you remember what that inator was?
Let's see. What was it called? Let's see. I don't think it has an inator. I mean, I think it's just like a regular destructinator. I don't remember. I don't think it exactly has a name.
All right, well, he's got one shot, and he's intending on blowing up the moon to get rid of all the moon songs, which really wins over Varlic.
She doesn't. She doesn't like moon-related songs, which is
Yep.
like, come on, Moon River's a classic.
It is, it is. But then again, she's evil, though.
La Luna.
Yep, she's evil.
Yep, she is evil, but she enjoys a good dam-related toe tap.
That is true. So Doofenshmirtz misfires and he destroys the dam, which washes away the painting. But thankfully, the boy has like a little picture of it, so the father sees it, and despite its small size, he hangs it on the giant fridge. Now that fridge actually is bigger than
The average refrigerator. It's bigger than a refrigerator.
yeah, it's bigger than a refrigerator. It's bigger than our platypus monster.
Yep, no greater honor than it being hung on the fridge, especially a giant fridge.
I found that very sweet. It was a really good ending.
It is, yeah.
Speaking of good endings, we then have so again we have like the dual scale lesson where I like how it connected the themes here, where it's like that was the lesson being the size of the artwork doesn't matter, it's the intent. And on the flip side, Doofenshmirtz is like it's not about grand evil on a grand scale, it's about doing little evil things. You fail at that too.
It's like, yeah, Doofenshmirtz can't even do that. Although to be fair, the dam could have caused a lot of issues.
Could have, yes.
But it didn't. All it did was wash away a painting.
Yep. Anyways, I have this perfect bit that ends the episode. It's really funny where Perry Platypus shows up. Is Perry the Platypus.
I was like, oh, there you are, Perry the Platypus.
You saw that, didn't you? I'm evil, right?
And he's like, a little bit. It like gives like a sheepish grin and like a little motion that says like a little bit.
Thank you, Perry the Platypus. It's a nice end. It's a nice little moment between two of them. I love that moment.
It is nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can tell they're basically pretty much friends. They're just like, friends on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to good versus evil. Perry's nice. He's willing to let Doofenshmirtz have this one. Like,
then again, he could have just wore the hat earlier and it would have really helped him. But
it's like Perry still came through when it counts.
True.
It's like he's like, you're a little hit. This is a little bit. It's like, thank you, Perry the Platypus. Thank you. It's not. I mean, it is kind of a joke, but it is a nice sentiment to end the episode on. It's like, so that's. I think that covers it for this week. Do good episodes, but obviously the monster one is the standout.
Yeah.
So giant, and both featuring things that are giant. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
That's kind of the through line. So thank you all for watching. Next week our schedules are going to be a bit weird. Actually, our prospective date is on Tuesday. So barring any unforeseen circumstances, we'll be coming at you with the next episode on Tuesday. Right, Dragon?
That's correct.
All right. So that'll also mean that there won't be an episode of this on Friday, but on Friday next week. So but in lieu of something else entirely.
Yeah.
So if that does it for this week, any parting words then, Dragon?
I mean, not really. Just make sure folks. Little acts of evil they go a long way, and hang all the nice little artworks, no matter what size, on the fridge when you can.
Yeah, but basically encourage your kids' artwork and hang it up on your giant fridges.
Yeah. So. Monster-sized fridges, yeah.
Exactly. Bigger than a refrigerator, but smaller than a really big refrigerator.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, on that note, thank you all for watching, and join us next time on the Phineas and Ferb Recap-inator, where the boys help Baljeet build a portal to Mars. Good night, everybody.
I'm evil, right?
A little bit.